a lot more community spread than
Well, on,
Yep.
does that matter on that, on the speaker?
Yeah.
Hello. Oh, it's not.
But it's all in there.
Testing 1, 2. Need that one. I need that one. I just want to blur the background. Hey, Carla.
I'd like to welcome everyone here this evening to the Bradford Exempted Village Board of Education regular October meeting. And if we could stand for the pledge. Roll call, please.
Dr. Swab,
Here.
Mrs. Brewer, Pastor Reindl, Mr. Biesecker,
Here.
Mr. Miller.
I'd like to thank everyone for being here this evening. Tonight's agenda is approve our minutes. We'll have administrative reports. We'll have financial reports from the treasurer, and then we'll have new business for hiring supplemental contracts for our basketball, powerlifting, and site supervisors. And then we will review supplemental assignments for additional coaches and review 2 policies. Next, I'd like to turn it over to our administration for our staff, or rather our student spotlight.
Thank you, Dr. Swab. This time around, we did get to tell the students ahead of time that they were going to be recognized at this board meeting, and our first person is Anna Rank. Anna Rank was nominated by Mrs. Irwin. She is 7 years old and lives at home with her mother and father. She enjoys playing hide and seek, picking chicken up from patties and cheerleading. That sounds good. At school, Anna loves learning new things, specifically new math problems. Anna has many goals for her future, including being a cowgirl and specifically new math problems. She also wants to be a cheerleading teacher where she can stay at school until 5 o'clock. At school, Anna is an extremely hard worker. She's always committed to trying and doing her absolute best. Anna's kind, caring, and friendly character makes her a role model for classmates. We can always count on Anna to provide assistance to the others in the classroom and to be a kind listener. All of these things are already apparent, and we've only been in school for less than a month. I can't wait to see what great things Anna accomplishes over the course of this school year. That's what Mrs. Irwin said about Anna. She's a great asset to the elementary students, and we love having her as one of our students. Mrs. Sink was our other teacher that nominated, and that was Jalen Greavy. I would like to nominate, this is what Mrs. Sink says, I would like to nominate Jalen Greavy for board recognition. Jalen is an absolute sweetheart and brightens at class every day. She lives with Amber and Andy in Covington. She has 2 brothers, Gage and Rhett. She enjoys playing with her puppy, Merle. When she's at her dad's house, she likes to jump on the trampoline. Jalen's favorite meal is tacos with cookies for dessert. That sounds delicious, is what Mrs. Sink says. In the classroom, Jalen is always smiling and pleasant. She gets along with her classmates and will play with anyone. She offers to help me and is always willing to share her answers. Jalen is a joy to have in class and a model railroader. Congratulations, Jalen, and she is a sweetheart. So congratulations to both of our students at the elementary. Now I'll turn it over to Mr. Triplett.
At the middle school, high school, we had 2 students as well. The first student's Dalton Skinner, who was nominated by Mrs. Anglin. Mrs. Anglin had this to say about Dalton. Dalton is a sophomore in my Spanish 2 class. He's a great collaborator who works well with all his classmates and always adds to the groups he is in. Although he is a quiet student, I know he is working hard to understand the material. I am proud to see the effort Dalton puts into his work. When he makes errors, he will ask questions to understand what is wrong before fixing and resubmitting the work. It is a pleasure to watch him grow in and out of the classroom. When he is out of class for golf, he takes the initiative to ask about what he will miss multiple days in advance. His kindness, responsibility, and work ethic make him a great role model for other students. Congratulations, Dalton. Our second student is Patrick Puthoff, nominated by Mr. Balmer. Mr. Balmer had this to say about Patrick. Patrick is a 7th grader in my 7th grade Ag STEM class this semester. Patrick is a great student who is always first to class. He works hard every day and always advocates for himself by asking good questions when he is unsure about the directions or what he is doing. He takes well to not being told the answer to his question. He is willing to think through it together so he can come to the answer himself. He has accepted every challenge put in front of him so far and has given it great effort. He is very polite and is a pleasure to be around at all times. He sets a positive example for others in my class, and he works well with others. He is doing a great job and should be proud of himself. Keep up the great work, Patrick, and congratulations, Patrick.
Thank you very much. It's always a pleasure to nominate and to see our students recognized. One of these days, we'll be able to actually see them when we recognize them, which will be the next great step forward. Next item is adoption of the agenda. Do we have any additions or deletions from the agenda that we have before us? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve?
I'll move to approve.
Mr. Miller?
I'll second.
And Pastor Louis? Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call for approval.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Dr. Swab,
Yes.
Mrs. Brewer,
Yes.
Pastor Reindl,
Yes.
Mr. Biesecker.
Yes.
Next item is approving the September 14th, 2020 regular board meeting minutes. I have a motion to approve.
I'll move.
Pastor Louis, thank you.
I'll second.
And Mr. Biesecker. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, roll call for approval.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Dr. Swab,
Yes.
Mrs. Brewer,
Yes.
Pastor Reindl,
Yes.
Mr. Biesecker.
Yes.
Next, we will begin our administrative reports, and I'd like to turn the meeting over to Mr. Hurst.
Okay, I've got just a few things to talk about this evening. A few things I wanted to do a little shout out here for, things that we're really proud of. First of all, our PTO is actually going around and buying shirts, polo shirts for all of our staff members and board members. We're very impressed and very proud to have that coming our way. So thank you, PTO, and all that serve on that committee. Skip is putting together a place to move our old marquee. The sign that was out here by the front of the building, it's still there if you haven't noticed. It will be moved to the Children's Home Bradford entrance. We're researching whether it be on the east or the west side of the road there, but we're looking at those different costs and seeing where the most appropriate place would be. And hopefully that'll be done here in the next week or two. Skip just finished a concrete project out here, working on the sidewalk, extended out to the west of the parking lot. That was a place that we always needed a sidewalk, and it's something that has been desperately needed. He just finished that up with the help of the ag class. Mr. Balmer and his kids went out and helped with that during the last week, and had that poured for a very inexpensive piece. Mrs. Moore, Sharon Moore, had some students submit billboards to the Miami County group again this year to hopefully put out a positive message about distracted driving. And hopefully we'll be reading for those students as they compete against students from other schools around the county. And then the last thing, we are constantly updating our COVID numbers on our website. Any positive numbers that come through here, we will obviously put those on our website as a mandate through the governor's office. And of course, it's a great communication tool. So if you want more information, please go to our website at bradford.k12.oh.us and get any information for COVID that we have there. As always, if you have any questions, you are welcome to call into the board office there and talk to me at any point. And we are always open to that kind of communication. With that, I don't have any more unless anybody has questions.
Any questions for Mr. Hurst? Thank you very much. And next is Mrs. Levy, elementary principal.
Well, since the beginning of the school year, we've been trying to find where our students are at. So we're just now finishing up a lot of our beginning of the year testing, and we're leading right into the air testing for the third grade reading guarantee. And that will start on the 20th and the 21st of October. That's just language arts for the fall. I'm very optimistic this year because they've got to work more on Chromebooks to be more prepared for the test. And I'm very excited to see how they do. A couple more things. It's Fire Prevention Month, and the fire department, even though we have to do things a little bit different, dropped off some books for the kids that keep and take home about fire prevention. They watch some videos. Appreciate the fire department bringing some information in for our students to keep them safe. Also, Mr. Weldy, Covington, gave us pumpkins, and I'm excited about that because the pumpkins for this week. The students are going to work at a grade level and decorate the pumpkins to represent kindness, positivity. So we're going to have a set up starting on Thursday with lights and decorations. The parents can come drive through and see the display that the kids have come up with for positivity, which we all need in our lives right now. Also, it's anti-bullying month, and so Deputy Bubeck has been coming into the SEL Times and helping to make sure that bullying is discussed and making it a twist to what is the right way to work with one another. And for the upper grades, since they're on their Chromebooks more often, they're going to be discussing cyberbullying and how to be safe on the internet. So I'm excited that we have Officer Bubeck here, Deputy Bubeck here to do all those things. And one more thing, I want to thank Mrs. Serber for helping us with the parent engagement grant that we got with Northridge and West Nolan. She's taken over treasury pieces for our comprehensive literacy grant as well. So she's taken on some responsibility, and I appreciate all that she's done to help our students out to be the best they can be. And I think that wraps up my report. Any questions?
Nope. Thank you very much. Very concise. Next is our secondary principal report, Mr. Triplett.
Yeah, I just want to talk about all the great things going on at the high school. The first thing I want to mention is the window graphics that you can see on our new vestibules out front and at the athletic entrance and board office entrance. I think these turned out great, and we received nothing but positive comments since they were put up. We'd like to thank VPP and Versailles for the collaboration on the design process, the creation and installation of the graphics, as they look great and have improved the security and safety for our staff and students here in the building. These graphics were paid for from Miami County Grant Foundation grant. So thanks to them for the awesome opportunity to add these to our building. Again, I can't say enough positive things about our staff and students during this time. And, again, we're still on that modified schedule of 4 periods a day, and they're doing great things, even though they're in those 4 classes daily and not all 8. I know they're hoping that we get back to normal soon, and I wish the same. So we'll see how things turn out. And if you have any questions, I'll take them.
Looks like it was all clear. Everybody understood it. Great. And I have to say the graphics are amazing. I think the way they took history and implemented it into the presentation is really impressive. And the changes looks like the way the school was made. You wouldn't even realize if you'd never been here before that it was not built that way. So I think you guys did an incredible job, and I think kudos to the design staff and administration for implementing the project.
Also on that, I talked to the students and everything, they like it too, so, I mean, it's different, the adults will like it, when the students like it too, it makes a difference.
It generates a sense of pride, and it looks very nice. And next is Assistant Principal, Mr. Daughtery.
So to kind of go with what Mr. Triple was talking about with some of the changes that we've had to make for the coronavirus, I've been in a lot of classrooms. I've been very excited to see the kids are adjusting well with having to wear masks. For the most part, every room I go into, every kid's got a mask on. And even some of them might have it dropped a little bit, but they'll pull it up. And if we have to ask them to pull it up if they forget, we haven't gotten any real complaints that they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing. That with the changes of, how we send them in the building now and standing outside, the kids have been nothing but great with all these changes that we've had to make. So I'm very impressed that our students they don't want to do this, but they understand that they have to do this in order to be here, and I think the kids want to be here. Since Mrs. Thompson's not here, I have a couple of sports news. First of all, our golf team made it into the second round of tournaments this year. This is the first time our golf team as a team has made it to districts. They unfortunately weren't able to make it out of districts, but they were able to make it in districts, and we are very proud of our golf team. Playing for the team in tournament action was Dalton Skinner, Taven Leach, Scott Spencer, Gage World, and Keith Mead. So congratulations to them. We're very proud that you were able to do that and bring our school the honor of making it into the tournaments. In other news, last Friday, our football team broke our losing streak by defeating Springfield Central Catholic 26-23. Hopefully everyone will ever watch the game. If you're able to watch the game, you understand that there are a lot of good traditions in this community. And if you want a good egg and ham omelet to go to the train stop, our team played really well in the second half. They were able to take a deficit where they were down and score 26 unanswered points against Springfield Catholic Central. They did not give up, and that is something that it was really nice to see that they were able to persevere. I asked a couple of players what Coach said from the halftime, and they said, well, Coach just kind of step back and let us talk to each other about what we wanted to do. And the fact that our players wanted to come back and win, and that was one of the best football games I've seen that last half. I was yelling at the TV like I normally do when Ohio State plays. So very excited to see that. And our team did really well. So we have 3 games, maybe get a couple wins in this year and really turn things around. Tournament action coming up. The volleyball team is playing in tournaments on October 24th. And the cross-country team has their district tournaments also on October 24th. And does anybody have any questions?
Excellent. Thank you very much, Mr. Daughtery. That was an enjoyable report, I have to say. Next is Mrs. Brewer, update from Upper Valley CC.
I just have a couple things. One was they are going back to a 5-day-a-week schedule starting second quarter. So the students are excited to get back to 5 days a week. They're doing really good with math, social distancing, and their COVID numbers are low. So they're going to go ahead and start like our school for 5 days a week. So that's exciting. They also got their graduation or their report card back, and they have a 99% graduation rate. Their web exams, they have 84% of the students pass. They're just like the end of course exams for clear text. So that was good news. And they are starting in their adult ed program. They're starting a new registered nurse program. So they'll be looking forward to that in the next year. That's all I have.
Any questions for Mrs. Brewer? Thank you very much. Next is Mrs. Server giving us our treasurer's report.
Just a few things I wanted to bring to your attention. I'm working with some new software on the 5-year forecast and trying to work through that and see what we can improve as far as information for the school board to help make decisions. In that line, we were originally going to have a work session in September, but due to everything that's been going on, I think that was something that just didn't come to fruition. But I think it's something that we want to be talking about here in the next few months, trying to schedule a work session just to talk about finances, direction, and various things that we'll want to be doing. A couple of good news items, or one good news item this month that came through, and I remember being very excited about this and talked to Mr. Hurst about it right away. The state of Ohio has given $20 million out for school bus grants, and we are the benefactor, and you'll vote on it tonight, of around $56,000 towards a school bus, which will be over 60% of the cost of a new one. So even though we hadn't anticipated doing something like this, it's an opportune time. So you're going to put everything in motion tonight to make that happen. And we'll be looking at that here very shortly and trying to work along those lines. And I did some calculations, and it was going to knock off approximately 5 years on our average age of school buses, which our average age needs to be a little lower. So I think it's going to put us in fairly good shape and work very positively. And the last thing, there is an item on the agenda tonight that I'll ask you to vote for. It's very similar to last month, and it's just clarifying some things we've had in the past that will put us in a little better light and bring us into compliance. So with that terminates my report.
Thank you very much. Does any board members have questions? No? Thank you very much. And next on our agenda is public participation. I had no request before me for public participation, and none for Mr. Hurst. Next is the financial report from the treasurer. The superintendent recommends approval of the following consent items: the financial journal, the check register, now and then certifications of bills from Lake Shores, Anderson, the Treasurer, State of Ohio, BN Sports LLC, and Miami County ESC, approving permanent appropriations as necessary, approving transfers and advances for the month's general fund to Ohio K-12 connectivity subsidy, advance from the general fund to expanding opportunities, advance from the general fund for the school bus grant, advance from the general fund for comprehensive literacy year 1, round 2. The next item is the superintendent recommends approving donation of 2 lock cabinets to be used in the nursing area from Midmark, approving Elin Financial Services credit card with a limit of $3,000, which is a continuation of an existing process in the district. And next item is recommending the Board of Education amend the SERS pickup plan, which is the resolution amending the tax deferral pickup plan, which is on your agenda, and I won't read back to you for clarity of talking through a mask. We have a motion to approve the following items. Mr. Miller?
I'll second.
And Pastor Louis. Do we have any questions or clarifications?
Scott, can we schedule the work session that Carla was talking about?
Yes, I'll have her email all of us and get some available times so that we can get that set up in a time frame that fits around her schedule. And then she'll give us some available time, send an email out to us, and then we can respond back to meet our availability.
Will do.
Thank you.
Any other discussions or questions regarding the vote on the board? Hearing none, then roll call for approval.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Dr. Swab,
Yes.
Mrs. Brewer,
Yes.
Pastor Rindle,
Yes.
Mr. Beesecker.
Yes.
We have no old business for us this evening. Next item is new business. Consent items 1 through 10. The superintendent recommends approval of all the following. We have supplemental contracts for basketball, powerlifting, site supervisor and extended detention monitor. Substitute contract for Samantha Hall. Approving contract with E-rate funding for school districts for 2021. And next is the Board of Education wishes to advise and receive bids for the purchase of one or more school buses. Next item is accepting allocation of money from grant 4999021 for state school bus grant in the amount of $55,921. Recommend accepting fund for Ohio K-12 connectivity subsidy in the amount of $3,600. Recommending approval of grant through Ohio Collaboration of Education Remotely Transforming School Grant, which will be with Milton Union, Bradford, Northridge. The district will receive student learning kits valued at about $72 per student for virtual planned events. Next item is accepting approval of a PayPal account for the district. Next item is recommending the sale of the removed gymnasium school boards through our established publicsurplus.com auction account. And next item is entering into a memorandum of understanding with the BEA to allow teachers to work from home in the event that they are quarantined due to COVID-19 exposure during work. I have a motion to approve those items.
So moved.
I'll second.
Beesecker, and this is Brewer. Any discussion or questions or clarifications?
I got a couple of questions. One, in the bus, when's the time limit that we have to purchase this bus by to get bus funds?
I believe the expiration of those funds are probably at the end of this fiscal year, are they not, Carla?
Well, on the school bus grant, they didn't really talk about the expiration, but what they said is they're going to start awarding them in November. Now, the step that you would take in this resolution gives us the right to get bids. The bids that have to occur, they have to be bids that were placed after March 20th of 2020. So these bids will qualify. So if we get favorable bids on October 30th, which is what this resolution is saying that we can participate in these bids, then at that time we could go to market for a school bus. And if everything works well, we would try to do that at the November meeting if you're in agreement that this is something we need to do. Now, that being said, I don't know when the funds are going to run out, but I imagine this will be, it will be done fairly quickly. They haven't given us a timeline on the ending of it, but it could go as late as June 30th. But I think it's probably a case where we need to be very quick on a lot of this money, because I don't think these dollars are going to be out here for a long time. When these monies start to dry up, they'll dry up very quickly.
I guess another question on the same topic is, if we place the order for the bus, and we'd be guaranteed for the money, even if the company who's making the bus can't get it to us for 6-8 months or whatever.
Well, I talked to a gentleman at Ohio Department of Education, and that was part of the issue that I brought up, because it does take us a while to get those buses. What he told me is once the bids are there and you've really taken on the role of getting that bus under wraps, that you voted on it, your money would be secured at that time.
Okay.
So I think,
because everything with COVID anymore, it takes them long to get everything, and you place an order, you can't get them funds until you get the bus or have to pay for the bus, then it might be a while down the road.
well, I think we talked about this at length, because you never know if you've got a lot of strings attached to this, but it didn't seem like it. It seems like that if we do all the proper things as quickly as possible, that money will be available to us as early as sometime in November or December.
And we also talked to the salesman that we usually work with. Now granted, we've got to get the bids and all that sort of thing first, but he didn't think there was going to be an issue with getting a bus in a timely manner. He was expecting 10 of them to be delivered to his facilities in December. So they were very similar to what we had purchased last year, so he thought maybe we could just get one of those.
Okay, another question is on number 10 on the, understanding allowing the teacher to work from home. Okay, my question is, who's gonna be the person that helps in the school? Gonna hire part-time teachers in them days, or we gonna have somebody in the school system working there to help, or what?
The goal is to have a substitute in there at the same time to oversee and supervise those students. If there's anything in class, obviously, they would take care of it, but the instruction would be coming through the computer to those kids in class.
Hire a part-time.
We would hire a substitute just like we normally would, correct?
But you feel that you're getting a better level of education by keeping that teacher in place?
Instead of giving plans to the teacher or a substitute in that case, I'm trying to figure out how this works and the right wording for it, and how's that question get answered and that sort of thing. We actually have a computer set up where the teacher would be doing all that. And I don't want to say anything negative about ourselves. They do a great job here, but to have the teacher that's in charge of that classroom continuing the education, instruction in the same language as what they're used to, goes a long way.
Mm-hmm.
So, and if anybody else is listening, substitutes are wonderful. Everybody ought to please register to be a sub. We need lots of people.
Any number to call?
On board, 448-770.
It's always better to have a math teacher teaching a math class. You know, that's just nature of the beast. I mean, you know, it's tougher if you expect a teacher to come in or somebody come in your classroom and teach Adam or what have you. You don't know what the subject matter is. So
I know if someone asked me to teach advanced chemistry, I'd have a difficult time with instructions in front of me. It's good to have an advanced chemistry person there and people if that's an option. But of course, this MOU is only for COVID-related quarantines that happen from school. So if a teacher gets quarantined from something outside of school, this MOU does not pertain to that situation. So that would be an option, not a requirement.
Any other questions or clarifications? Hearing none, then I'll call for approval.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Dr. Swab,
Yes.
Mrs. Brewer,
Yes.
Pastor Reindl,
Yes.
Mr. Biesecker.
yes,
Next item is item 11, supplemental contract for 2020-2021 school year. Chris Biesecker for varsity girls basketball coach. Do I have a motion to accept?
I'll move it.
And a second? Mrs.
I'll second.
Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, roll call for approval.
May I get clarification on who was accepted on the second? Because I heard both Mrs. Brewer and,
Miller and Brewer. Mr. Brewer was first.
thank you. Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Dr. Swab,
Yes.
Mrs. Brewer,
Yes.
Pastor Reindl,
yes,
Mr. Biesecker.
same,
Next item 12 is supplemental contract for 2020-2021 eighth grade boys basketball coach, half position for Alex Swab, half position for Eric Swab. Do I have a motion to accept?
so moved,
Mr. Biesecker,
I'll second.
Pastor Louie. Discussion or questions? Roll call for approval.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Dr. Swab,
Abstain.
Mrs. Brewer,
Yes.
Pastor Reindl,
Yes.
Mr. Biesecker.
yes,
Next item is a second and final reading and adoption for two new Neola policies. Policy PO 2266 and AG 2266. And then we're rescinding the PO 5460.02. Do I have a motion to accept?
Also,
I'll second.
Mr. Miller, questions or
Well,
clarification?
The one policy, is it just doing away with it?
Yes.
Okay, I looked all over, I couldn't find
No, this,
anything different, but okay.
this is something that when we did the policy adoptions last year, last spring, we actually had a new policy adopted with the number 5460.02. Theoretically, what happens is it just replaces the old policy. However, knowing that this one was dealing with credit flex and the new policy didn't deal with credit flex, we wanted to make sure it was done properly, so that's why this one was rescinded. Now, the credit flex policy that is being rescinded is explained in a different policy. It's not necessarily a duplicate, but the meaning is the same in both policies. So we didn't feel like it would hurt anything by rescinding this motion, clean things up. That's what our folks recommended we do. So that's why it's here for us.
Fine, I just want to make sure if someone's there, I didn't find it, I wanted to.
Well, that's something I was going to explain even without the question. So yes, I'm glad you asked. Thank you.
Any other questions or clarifications? Hearing none, then roll call for approval.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Dr. Swab,
Yes.
Mrs. Brewer,
Yes.
Pastor Rindle,
yes.
Mr. Bisecker.
Yes.
Next item is a motion to enter executive session for item G1 on your agenda.
Also,
So moved.
Pastor Louis and then Mrs. Brewer. Should be Jim. Sorry. A roll call for executive session.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Dr. Swab,
Yes.
Mrs. Brewer,
Yes.
Pastor Rindle,
yes.
Mr. Bisecker.
Yes.
And there'll be no actions taken after the executive session.
You too.
Louis, you might need your microphone.
Dr. Swab, we are ready to go.
Thank you very much. Currently, we are at the bottom of page 7 of our agenda. Do I have a motion for adjournment?
I'll move to adjourn.
I'll second.
Mr. Miller and Pastor Louis. Roll call for adjournment.
Mr. Miller? Dr. Swab?
Yes.
Mrs. Brewer?
Yes.
Pastor Reinhold?
Yes.
Mr. Besecker?
Yes.
Thank you very much. We stand adjourned.
8:00.
8 p.m.
Okay, thanks, everybody, and special shout out to Mark. Thanks, guys. Thank you very good. First, you guys did well. Thank you. On the, you have a clue, or trying to email yours together? How do you want to do it?
There,
Write the
these
thing
two,
down,
but that's a
things
woman,
like
so
that.
I figure you have your choice. Number 8.
That's what bothers me, and that's what you guys look at me on that.
What they told me for OSBA is that about 2 to 3 days before the conference, you will receive personal emails and give you the link for the virtual sessions, and they'll give you a whole listing. But I was concerned because I hadn't heard anything.
And how many people can be in the gym, but at the same time, I like.
We never had very many come anyway.
You did? Okay. So that's not. good.
Maybe on the 3rd and 4th grade girls are going up.
Okay.
That would be it.
Well, I think Chloe and I probably need to set some parameters, say, here's the limits for the gymnasium, and then just get it to you and figure out, how can we work within this.